I think we should begin and people can just keep joining in. Does that
Sounds
sound
great.
good?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sideshow Creative Week Day 2. We have Colleen Finn with us. And, well, everyone says if you want to get something done, just find the busiest person you know. And the Sideshow could not find a more busier person than Colleen Finn. So I'll just hand it over to her and let her help us. Let me give it over to you now.
Okay.
There you go.
Yay, people. Is this the Trish Harris?
It is. It is. How are you doing?
Yay, Trish. Hello.
I saw this and I thought, I think I need a refresher of that Colleen brilliance on this topic.
Fantastic. And welcome everyone else. I need, clearly there are photographs and you aren't just very still. We have the chat open on the side. If you guys want to open the chat, if you have questions while I'm going through everything, feel free to do that and we will look at things at the end. Initially, I have been doing this for a very, very long time. And I do it at the school where I was teaching. And so it was basically set up for people in school. And I thought, well, since this is different and we're all professionals, I'm going to do it for my life. But then I thought everybody's life is different anyway. So I'm going to stick to the one that was school, because that's, we all get that you have classes, you have whatever. So we would just kind of sub in our jobs or things like that. So, and I am going to ask if you guys can type in the chat just to make sure it's going on, where each of you are right now. Where are you coming from? Awesome. And then who am I missing? Lewis and update. Great. Oh, okay. New York. I'm in New Jersey. I'm actually in this sweet spot, which is why my background looks like this, like because I'm at my mom's house. Yesterday, I drove from New Hampshire to New Jersey. Today, I'm in New Jersey. Tomorrow, I drive to Virginia Tech, and then I drive back to my office in Atlanta. So this is mom's piano and her dining room. So I'm just doing it from there. So I had a bunch of things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to walk you through this process because obviously you have, if you're here, I'm guessing that you need some help with time management, or you're doing pretty well as is, but you'd like to add some additional things that you want to do to your schedule, and where do you find that time? So there are a couple things that keep us from managing our time in the best way, or things that kind of are obstacles. So I am going to share my screen. This is where we might get technically weird because I'm actually sharing a Cintiq, but hopefully I can still see you guys. Let's see. All right, I can still see all of you. I can still see chat. And can you guys see the thing that says time management? Which I find this is the equivalent of, like, if I said, hey, do you guys want to come to a lecture on accounting? Like, oh my gosh, it's so boring, and I know it's boring. So I just try to make it a little bit better. But anyway, probably someone has told you, you know what, you just need to manage your time better. Yep. No kidding. So what this is about is a literal way to do it. And normally this is a 2 to 2.5 hour lecture. I'm going to try to jam it all into 30 minutes. So I'm going to give you the really condensed version. We're going to walk through how you would manage your time weekly. Then I'm going to give you 2 separate examples of what if you set a goal that's 3 months out, what if you set a goal that's a year out, and how that kind of changes in different ways. If you have any questions as we go, I know she was gonna help moderate me there, but I can see what you're typing. So if I can jump in to answer any questions as we go, that would be great. So first issue that we have that keep us from managing our time the way we would like is deadlines. What I have learned from teaching and just for myself, if you have a project or something that you have to do, you will get the same a lot of times the same quality project done if you're given 2 days versus a week. If it's a week, you'll just stretch it out, or you'll do it 2 days before it's due. But if it's due in 2 days, you're going to work really hard and get it done. So deadlines kind of throw off how you manage your time and how you set up your schedule. So if I tell students when I do this lecture, I say, if you go to class, go home, write down all your homework, but I want you to start on that class's homework that day and do it the next 3 days. So when you have 2 or 3 days before class, you have extra time in case you want to go back and revisit it. 99% of people don't do that. If I tell all of you, hey, I would love for you guys to tell me how it's going and shoot me a quick bio for yourself next Friday, you will write that Thursday night or Friday morning. So you have this kind of, whether you feel it or not, this kind of internalized stress of putting it off and putting it off. So next one is your workspace or just your living space. So some people, mainly on Pinterest, have very organized offices with everything color coded with their little slat walls and things. My space is a little bit more like this, but from what I have heard, ADHD people, or I don't know what mentally makes this a better workspace for you, but if I look at this picture, I can tell you where the red tipped pen is because it's under that pair of shorts by the windowsill behind the planter. Like, even if you have a space like this, you probably know where everything is. It's not just random. I don't know if you've ever had someone help you clean, or you decided you were going to spring clean, and then after 2 days, your house is amazing and you don't know where anything is, especially if you use art supplies, things like that. Next one, obviously procrastination. This is a really big one for me. I will push and push and push it off until I have no choice but to do it. I have a new thing that apparently my dad had. Maybe you guys have it too. When I get really stressed out, not narcolepsy, but I feel like I have got to go lay down and take a nap. It's just procrastination, but I literally feel like I could not stay awake any longer. And the last one is just life. How many of you, I got to ask some questions. This will help me tweak this a little bit. How many of you have children? And you can just put it in the chat. No children? Oh, not yet. Okay. One. How old is your one? 6. Okay. So you might be the only one with kids here. Okay. And 6 is not baby, toddler. Do you feel like 6-year-old is more or less time for you? I would probably want to spend more time with a 6-year-old. I don't have kids either. Also,
like, does it, I'm sorry, I missed the question. Does the 6-year-old take me more time than she did when she was younger, or?
Yeah. Like when you first had baby, like baby to 2 versus now 6.
I'd say she's probably less time. She does a lot of like independent playing by herself and kind of like has her little life.
And you can schedule things at 6. She's a human, right?
That sounds awesome. Somewhat.
Babies are human. Babies are human. That's not what I mean. But like you can go and play miniature golf, or you can do stuff versus she's screaming and you don't know why.
Oh, yes, that is true.
Yes. Okay. So when I talk to people about all the stuff that I do, and I'm not going to go into my huge bio because it would take the whole hour and you wouldn't care anyway. But when I go through everything that I do, people are like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? No spouse, no boyfriend, no kid, me and my dog, and I'm a freelancer. So, and I consider the work that I do, if you said, hey, guess what? You get to take a week off. I'd go, ooh, what can I design? Like I have a compulsion. And I imagine if you guys are taking time off in the middle of the day for this as well, you might also have that creative compulsion. If I don't create each day, it's like a garbage truck just backing up in my head. I've got to put something out there. So let's go on to this whole point. Instead of versus time, like it's our enemy, we're going to try and win time. So I treat this whole thing like a game show. And if you play it right, you can win yourself more time. And in the end, Trish can vouch for this. She did use it. Whether she remembers it or is using it now, that's a whole different thing. Also, when I get through this, I always ask people, try it for a week. You will either do it for a week and then you'll forget about it, or you will do it for the rest of your life. And that's maybe 7% of people do it forever like I do. I will show you, and I'm going to send, I think we have everyone's emails. So if you take notes, fantastic. Hand to pen to paper is going to make you remember more versus typing stuff in. If you don't want to type stuff in or take notes, I'm going to send you, all of you, a recap of all of this plus the process at the end. So if you want to just sit back and listen and watch, that's totally fine. This is the Architects and Designers Diary. It is put out by, I think it's Paragraph, Paragraph. And I have 21 years of these. They always have the number on the spine. Last year in 2020, it's the first year they did spiral bound because of COVID. They couldn't get the supply chain and everything, and they still wanted to get these out. I hate spiral bound. I sent them a letter. These are $37. I love it. I love it so much because I did write them back and apologize. But let me open up a thing here. Okay, so this is like a typical week for me on my planner. So what I love about these planners is you have so much space to write stuff for the day, but then you have like extra doodle space, and then you have expenses, time, and you've got little calendars here. This is my favorite. I can go back any year back to 2000 and pull this out for a certain day and know what I was working on. So this is what I recommend. The nice thing about doing Creative Week now, these are now on sale for 2022 if you're interested at the end. Okay, let's talk about how to win time. Oh my gosh, it's 15 minutes already. Okay. This is time management, just doing this in an hour. Okay, here are things that you're gonna need. Again, this is very, very literal of how to manage your time. And I'm gonna talk about it as if it was school, but I'm gonna tell you what you could substitute in for classes and things like that. You need Post-its. You need a different color Post-it for each part of your life. So if you have a 9 to 5, then you would have like all those are blue Post-its. If you have something that you do on the side, like you play soccer or something like that, those are all green. The first thing you want to address is the time that literally you are not available or that you know is locked in. Okay, so first you go ahead and you need a clean wall, and you're going to put up a Post-it for every day of the week. That's the easy part. The biggest thing about this whole, now I know there's so many time management systems out there. I'm not saying any of them are better than another. I'm saying this is what works best for me. It's tangible. And every day I feel like, especially in this world we live in right now, it's nice to get a win. And that's kind of what this whole process is about. At the end of the day, to look at this wall and see what you've done and go, okay, I didn't just waste my day, anything like that. So we are going to go to, this would be if you had classes. Okay. So these are different colors. So what I tell the kids is they have 4 classes. So I give each of them pick a color for your Post-it for your class. So if this were, and these are located, tell me if I go too fast. I got that fast Jersey mouth. So every Post-it, like if you're going to have work and you're working 9 to 5, then you would have a Post-it basically that every single day is like a purple Post-it that just says office or something like that. Because I'm going to show you how to break down the day and try to win some free time during your work day as well. I used to do corporate architecture, and I thought I will never own a corporation like this, seeing how much time is wasted on social media. Like people just walking through cubicles and stuff and just seeing people either on their phones checking Instagram or TikTok, or they're on Facebook, or they're doing Snapchat, whatever. I thought, oh my gosh, they're paying these people like $100 an hour. And how many hours are they actually working? So I like working in little, very like efficient chunks of time versus saying I have to be somewhere 9 to 5. Before I get into the next part, and I take lots of tangents, and you'll excuse me, normally I can bring the train back to the station, but sometimes I veer off a little bit. Trish can vouch for that as well. So for this, we now have whatever your classes would be, or are you going to have work every day? That's fine. The next thing you do is, this would be if you had a meeting. Okay, this notebook is like if you had a meeting and you wrote down everything you had to do this week for work. So that's the equivalent of intro to graphic design. Week 1, here is all the homework we have to do. So you might say, week 1, we got to do a TV campaign for Amex or whatever. So we need to have a brainstorming meeting. We got to do storyboarding. We have to figure out who's going to be our art director for this project. Depending on what position you hold, that determines kind of what your notes are going to look like. So once you have this all written out, you're going to break it down into that color Post-its for work. So let's say it was, maybe it's by client. So maybe Amex is purple, and you put down everything you need to do for that Amex project for the week. Let me ask you guys again to type out for me whether you're a freelancer or if you're at an agency, what position you are. That'll help me as well. Speak a little bit more to you. Freelance, creative director, art director, strategist. Okay, perfect. Okay. So does this all make sense so far? Like, the goal is that one of the examples I'm going to give you at the end for how to do this for a year, my mom needs to move from this house in New Jersey, where she's lived for 50 years, to her house in New Hampshire. She is paralyzed. It's too much. It's too big. She can't even get started. So a lot of times when you get a big project, you're like, oh my God, there's not even enough time for this. The deadline's in 2 weeks. Slow your roll for a second. We can. The goal is to break it into the tiniest bite-sized little pieces and figure it all out at the beginning of the week. Because then if you wake up tomorrow, instead of worrying about the big picture, you go, oh, at noon, I have to have this meeting. Oh, and afterwards, I have to do this. It's kind of like what you do at work anyway, but we're going to get really, really tiny with it. And if you go to a meeting and you leave that meeting, there's nothing that says, hey, good for you, you had a meeting. That's what this system's going to do for you. So like I said at the end, a lot of times we don't realize how much stuff we've actually done. So I'm going to say, and these are not going to make sense to you, this is breaking down the big chunks of homework for the week, okay? If you look up at the top of this, each one of these with the star is one that I wrote on the previous slide. Whoops, go back. There. So those are the main things. The next thing is I take each of those big things and break them down into tiny increments. So if I have to come up with 50 facts about a civilization, I'm going to make one Post-it, come up with 25 facts. Another Post-it, come up with 25 facts. If I have to do some thumbnails, I have to do 100 thumbnails in a week. I'm going to break those down into 5 20 thumbnail Post-its. Here are some tips. You never want a Post-it that's going to be under a half an hour of time. And you never want to break these down into chunks that are more than 4 hours of time. So if I knew that finding, let's say, 50 facts would take me 5 hours, that's not one Post-it. I'm going to break it into at least 2. I'm going to try and break it into 3 if I can, depending on how hard it is to switch gears and get into doing that actual work. Okay. Now, okay, so then I also leave space at the bottom for time, how much time you think each of these things would take. So you don't even really need to think about where I'm going to put all this time until you break this down, like on this screen, into as many small items as you can. Okay. The next one is you assign a time to every single Post-it. And what I tell people is however long you think it's going to take, I would ask the students, how long do you think it's going to take to find 25 facts about your civilization? They'll go 30 minutes, triple it, and put an hour and a half. Because most of the time, the time that you estimate is wishful thinking, not reality. If you get good at this 3 times what you think it'll be, you can normally come in under that. And this is how the whole gamifying works. You're going to gain time. So if I say 25 facts, hour and a half, and I do it in an hour, I just raised 30 minutes for myself. That is a walk. That is eating. It's too short for a nap. I can't take a nap in that time. But let's say you want to go to a concert at the end of the week and you don't want to feel guilty about it. And you know that's like a 4-hour process. Try and win that time throughout the week. So then when you go, it's all freed up. Okay. Here's the next part. You're going to actually put those Post-its on the wall. Now, all I did here, if you notice on the top of Monday, that's graphic design intro. Every single purple Post-it is homework for that class or for that client or for that job or whatever. So you start with, I'm going to go to class. That's the top one. Then you put in a bunch of Post-its and you also mix them up. See, I don't have 25 facts next to 25 facts. You don't want Post-its that are breakdowns of one big thing back to back to back to back, because then you'd be working on it for 8 hours. That's not what we want. So you want 25 facts right afterwards, but you'll notice the next day I've got another 25 facts. So you plan all these out throughout the week, excuse me. And then you go and you do that for every single class, excuse me. Now, as I make it through the week and I start losing all those I start doing all that graphic design intro work, the later classes like creative thinking on Thursday are going to start filling that in. So it's constantly like a wave that's going away and getting filled back in. Tip number 40 is this is okay. So this is how I just showed it without filling it in. If you look at type 1 would be green, creative thinking would be pink. So you go ahead and you fill in that whole week. So if you can give yourself an hour, and the first time you do it is the longest time it's going to take. If you can do that for yourself for an hour, then you're good to go. The next part is, as you complete something, you move the completed tasks to another part of the wall. This is really important instead of throwing them out. Because at the end of the day, you're going to go, yeah, there's some open space, but you want to look over to the right and be like, oh, I actually did 32 things today. Even if they're small things, really big deal. And then you can also judge by color, 80% of my day was done for this client, 20% for this client, and kind of figure it out that way. Now, I'm going to say this because at the end of this, I'm so used to only doing this for people who it applies to. If any of you are like, I love this, but I'm very confused, I'm not in school, email me and we can set up, I will do this specifically for you, where you and I can walk through a week of your time and I can help make this specific to you. Let's say you have brainstorming to do and you say, well, normally I brainstorm like from 10 to 11 at work. Do you have a commute? Can you do some of that during your commute? How can we find other places where we can fit things in? Okay. This is hopefully not what your wall will look like, because that was the basics. And I'm going to tell you how this, I'm going to give you a whole kind of more holistic approach of where this specific process came from. And that will also help you a little bit. That's the end of this part. Nailed it, 30 minutes. Whew. Okay. And then as far as the, I know some of you might have gotten sucked in when I said it's like watching a Marvel. If Marvel put on time management, turns out there's copyright laws against that. Oh, I couldn't do a Marvel version. But anyway, this is as Marvel as I can get, because when I saw this quote, I use this all the time. I think this is from, I'm not sure if it's Ironman 2 or 1, but anyway, it's so true. No money, doesn't matter how rich you are. There's no way you can ever, it will never buy a second of time for you. So all in all, you want a different color Post-it for every main aspect of your life. I'm going to talk about real quickly a small side hustle. Like if, okay, that's great. I can plan out my regular work time, but I got a side hustle. So I actually got a new commission for, I paint custom skate decks for people. That's my like little side, like mini passion. So I break that one thing. It's a Christmas present. So I have to have it done. I set my deadline, got to get it mailed out by November 15th, because I don't know how mailing is going to go. I had to brainstorm. I have to sketch probably 10 to 20 ideas. Then I tighten up the 2 I like, send those to the client, figure out all of the art supplies I need. So there's a trip to the art store. I pencil it all in on the deck. Then I start doing my line work. Then I do my fill, and then figure out, am I going to try to learn how to spray paint? Probably not. Everything I do is very anal retentive. So once I break those down into Post-its, if I say I'm going to give myself a half an hour every night to work on this, like from 8 to 9 o'clock, 8 to 8:30, that's what I'm doing. I need to take those Post-its and start today and see where it ends. And if it goes past my deadline, then I also need to do some on Saturday and Sunday morning. Or the one thing we can always do, even though it's the worst thing you could tell, and I would never say this to a student, get up an hour earlier. Now I'm an architect, and I grew up being a late night, a really late bird all through college. Something happened to me when I got older. College age Colleen would hate me and think I'm a loser, but now 6 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. I am jamming. After 3:30, pointless. I just do tedious work. I can't do anything that's brainstorming. Then I get hit with brainstorming when I go back to bed and I'm laying in bed. That's huge. So let me go. I'm going to now, I'm not going to go. I'm going to try, you're going to see stuff on my screen. So I'm going to escape out of this. Yes, good. I'm going to get rid of this. Are you guys seeing my Photoshop screen now? Yes, awesome. All right, here's where this all came from. Are there any questions on any of that stuff first, before I get into how this whole process came to be? It'll make more sense when I give you the rundown. It's also going to sound a little bit like a cult. Okay. So it is going to be very rare that you can't complete something if you have tripled the amount of time you're going to take. So if you do that for everything and you have 100 Post-its for your week, if it carries over into the next time slot, hopefully you will have earned time or won time from something previous, or you can do that. I guarantee you, if you triple the time, it's really, your items are going to be so tiny as you go that you shouldn't fall into the next time. So, I mean, it happens if you get a phone call, something's going on that it throws you off, then you just adjust because you have all these Post-its. Can you move some? And then it becomes about priorities. And that ties in to this whole thing. So are any of you familiar with Franklin Quest or Franklin Covey? That's where this comes from the 80s. Ben Franklin, he wasn't from the 80s, I mean, 1980s, but Ben Franklin had this whole thing about time and how he managed his time. I'm going to read his biography because that's how this guy came up with this system. So I'm going to do some drawing for you. God bless the Cintiq. That's all I'll say. Okay. So what you do, and I'm going to pretend I work for Franklin Covey because this is just the overarching thing. I found this system because this guy I was dating in 1994 used it, and he said, "Oh, you got to do this time management thing. It's amazing." And I was like, "Okay, that's great." And he bought me one of these little Franklin Quest planners. And I was like, "Yeah, it just looks like a planner." He goes, No, I got to give you the VHS tape. I was like, uh-oh. First of all, no, I'm not going to watch a movie on how to use a time management planner, but they're very like, now they're very corporate. Like if you got into this, now they've moved on to like how to manage your company and way bigger than just like little people like me. So what they do is they say, first of all, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to show you how to break something down. Take a day for yourself, which of course already involves time management, because you got to kind of think pretty deep about this. In your life, what are the 3 things that are most important to you? Okay, so I'm going to just say this like I do for every one of these. I'm going to say my health, family, and financial independence. Okay, those are the 3 things that are most important. So then you start setting goals for yourself. And the easiest one I'm going to do is family. So let's say for family, what would be a good goal would be to see them in person more. And now it's just my mom, and she's up here in New Jersey. I'm in Georgia. I see her once a year. So if this is my goal that's going to help me achieve or like go towards one of the things that's most important, see them more. I want to visit. She comes at Christmas. I want to visit in July. Okay. So for me, that means I need to figure out how much the flight is. And let's say it used to be $240 from Atlanta to Newark. So, and for me, it was all about money at this time because I was not financially independent when I was doing these at the beginning. So I know over the next 12 months, that is $20 a month times 12 months. And again, you keep breaking it down until you're like, yeah, I could do that. The idea of flying up and all of a sudden having $240 was crazy to me. So what that means is I need to come up with $5 a week. So what I would do is no Starbucks 1 out of my 3 times I would go. So all I would do is then I would say, okay, I can go to Starbucks Monday and Wednesday, but not Friday. So on Fridays, put $5 away. So then in my calendar, it just says on Friday, put $5 away. That's it. And then before you know it, I have money and I can book the flight. So it really is. Then when you get down to this nitty gritty, where I'm literally looking at Friday on my schedule, you're no longer thinking about the big picture. It just happens. Health, this is another one. And sadly, I've used this same example for like 12 years, which is lose 80 pounds. Now I just tell people I'm not losing the weight because I really need to use this as an example. And then it just wouldn't, then it wouldn't work for you guys. So my health, I would say this is my goal, to lose 80 pounds. Okay. So I know that I would be in pretty good shape if I could do the Atlanta marathon, like walk it, if I could walk it next year. So that is 322. I want to be able to walk 26. It's 26.2, right? I think that's it. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit different because it's only 5 months away. That's a little bit different. So what I would do is I would say I have November, December, January, February. So I've got 4 months. So I would break this down into 4. So I'm just going to pretend it's 24 miles. So by the end of November, I need to be able to do 4. Wait, what? 6. Sorry. 6, 12, 18, 24. And then in March, we're good to go. So I look at November and I say, all right, I have however many weeks in November, 4. The first one, I want to be able to walk a mile. Let's say 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. That's per week. Hopefully you're all not asleep and just following this. Then I take that 1.5 in my calendar. This is all in my day planner. And now I have 7 days. I'm not going to go much farther than this, guys. So I have 7 days to end up walking 1.5 miles. This is once around the block, and a full 1.5 miles might be, I don't know, 4 times around the block. So 1, 2, 3. So once you do this and you plan this out, again, this will take a couple hours to put into your day planner. You no longer go 80 pounds. You no longer say marathon. You literally open to that day. And this is really for long-term goals, not like I have to work this week or what my client is. And it'll say, hey, today you got to walk around the block. Totally doable. And then in 2 days, I got to walk around the block twice. I can do that. Now, normally when I do this, I make it a 12-month process. So like literally it's like walk out to your car and there's today's thing. But anyway, so this is how you take these things that are so important to you and you set goals. Family might be see them more, or fly your mom down or your folks down here, or have a plan a reunion. How would you do that? Who would you invite? Would you bring someone on to help you do it? So there's a lot that you could do for that as well. So this is where it came from, taking these big ideas. So whatever your priority is, they would say, let's say out of all of these, family's the most important, then health, then finance. It would be different for everyone. But what you would do in that planner is when you wrote down everything you had to do for the day, you would put whether it's A, B, or C. So you kind of knew the hierarchy of it. So then like with your question, if there was a task that looked like it needed to be pushed, which one of those can be pushed? Chances are everything that has an A, you want to get done that day no matter what. And then you can move on and do it this way. And then go on and do other important things. So the equivalent of that is, this was what I would do for my mom. And I'll just show you real quick. Okay, so that's the big thing in general. Let me show you though, this is really good with time. I do want to leave 10 minutes for any questions or conversation with you guys. So I'm going to do 5 minutes on each of these. I own a online store and it is called Ye Old Monster Shop. I am obsessed with monsters, creepy cute, not horror. Monsters, robots, and old 1950s really bad effects sci-fi movies. So I used to watch them all the time with my dad, and I decided that I wanted to open a brick and mortar up in New Hampshire in the Lakes region where everyone would come for summer, where you'd come to the monster shop. And my mission for everything I do is planned nostalgia. So I either want to create art and things that kids have to have, and when they're 40, they find it in a closet and go, oh my gosh, do you remember these Halloween riddle cards that had these hilarious drawings on them? Or I want adults to see my stuff and be reminded about when they were kids. My age range is around 6. I almost said 6 o'clock. 6, because when we were 6, we had no bills, no responsibilities, a lot of playing, not overloaded with homework and 95-pound backpacks and all that kind of stuff. So that's everything I do is based around that mission. So I wanted to open up this store, and it would be great because it would only be open 3 months of the year, but I want kids. I vacationed in the Lakes region every year, my whole life. And we always had to go to this one mini golf course called Fun Spot. I want kids when they're up there to go, ooh, we got to go to Monster Shop while we're here. That's what I want. I want to be like the Norm from Cheers of the Monster Shop, like where I can dress in weird stuff every day. I could be a robot if I want for a day. Fantastic. The thing is, it will take me so long to be known where I'll make any money. I can't just jump in and open the shop. So I decided to open an online version, give myself 5 years to kind of build up this whole thing, and then start teasing the brick and mortar so people would just go insane. So it's open like July, August, June, July, August, and then it reopens in October for a huge costume ball for Halloween because all the leaf peepers are up there and everything. The Monster Shop, I worked really hard to set up the site, and eventually, I'm going to see if I can do something else here. Let's try this. Just so I can show you here. Okay, so this is the Monster Shop online. I am currently on vacation, as you can see. So I went and I make some things and I buy some things, but I just wanted to get the shop going. You can check this out regardless. But the end game is that it will be like Etsy, but for monsters and robots and sci-fi. So one of my goals is for this, which is Monster Shop is near and dear to my heart. It's number one up in that big list, is that I need to connect with crafters that make creepy cute. And so I can get them to, like, say, send me 5 of their things and I'll sell it. And it's just like how you would sell it in any shop, but you get a little bit more percentage. So that's the plan. One, how do I find these people? How do you curate people? Do I make a press kit that I like, this whole awesomely amazing, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a model maker. Do I make this pop-up thing that I send to these people I find on Etsy or online, and they open it and go, oh my gosh, I've got to get my stuff on this person's site? I don't know. I opened my store October 31st of last year. This is all about time management. This is not just a promo for me and my fantasies. I opened October 31st. I did a lot of social media up to that point. I sold 4 things on the day I opened, because don't ever think that everyone on Facebook who says can't wait is going to buy things. They're not. They're just there for moral support and thumbs up likes. So I believe in my Monster Shop, but anyway, it has died on the vine. I haven't sold anything in a year. Haven't posted one thing on my Facebook page, on my Instagram, haven't started TikTok. I have so many big plans because it's just me, and I have a lot of money I have to make to live in Atlanta, and I'm a freelancer, and I can't afford someone to help me. So this is my commitment. I've done a lot of soul searching while I was in New Hampshire the past month. This is my commitment. And I'm only mentioning this because if you or you know someone who makes art, cards, sculptures, anything that's creepy, cute, monstery, hit me up at some point. But this is the point about Monster Shop. I had to do social media. That's my plan. So I have to plan out a 6-month social media process. I'm not going to walk you through all of it. I decided I would take a social media content creation course, signed up for it, paid it, didn't have time to take it, paid an intern to take it. And one of the best parts about it, it gives you an Excel spreadsheet that's your first 100 posts on Instagram. And it talks about, don't try to sell anyone anything till like post 25. It's about, who are you? Who are the monsters? Why should they trust you? And my whole thing is, the monsters are the ones who run the shop. So like, my Carl is this really grumpy monster who I hired to do social media. Everything I do is kind of like Lemony Snicket. Like, I'll show Carl with his little headset on and he's just really mad. And I'm like Job from Arrested Development. I'm like, I've made a horrible mistake. This was the worst person I could have hired. Or I have another one where I gave my monsters COVID tests and they just loved how it felt when the Q-tips tickled their brains. So I couldn't get the Q-tips back. So it's so rich in my head, but I need a rich husband, or I need to start doing what I'm telling all of you guys to do and plan out your time. So you can come back to me in 2 weeks and say, let me see that schedule for that social media for Monster Shop and what your year-long plan is. And I guarantee you it'll be done. I don't like typing things out. When it comes, these are just coming back to my head while I'm talking. When you are doing a schedule like this, put it in one place. Don't have it on iCal and a hand thing and something at work on a calendar or whatever. Keep it all in one place. Invariably, you will miss or forget something that will be in different places. Also, like I said at the beginning, brain to hand to pen to paper, you will remember it much better than typing, which is just, we do that by rote now, so it doesn't sink in, but it always sinks in if you're actually writing it. I want to do questions and do some talking. So I'm not going to get into how I'm going to plan my mom's year-long move. Even though I know you guys are like begging to know, because that's as interesting as it could get. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I think everyone else will come back. Stop share. Yes. Okay. So, and if anyone wants to pop on video or ask questions, please let me know if any of that was confusing. Sideshow is the host now. So any questions about any of it, or if you have something specific that you'd like to add, because again, this whole thing's about side hustles, right? So we might have a full-time life, but there might be something passionate you want to do on the side. If you wanted to, again, open an online store, or maybe put some pieces together for a gallery show and do stuff that is separate from work. Because a lot of times work is what we love, but it's still work. And sometimes you just want to do something that is your passion as well. I don't think I can unmute you, but I think you can unmute you if you have anything you want to say. Did you? Oh, everyone fell asleep. Crap, I knew that was going to happen. That's time management for you, you know. Did anyone, okay, let me ask this in the chat. Is anyone still awake? Oh, oh, thank you. Yes. Okay. For now, well, you only got 10 more minutes. Does anyone have, okay, so again, I'm going to send out, yes, Trish.
Yeah, I got a question. So
Yes.
as a freelancer, sometimes your own time is hard to predict based on a client schedule. You know, they say they'll get it back to you by the end of the week, and they don't get it back to you till the end of next week. And then you have to respond and, you know, proceed with the next step of, you know, revisions or
Immediately,
what
right?
have you.
Immediately.
How do you build in the flexibility to
so appropriate, because I just got 2 texts from one of my freelance clients while we did this.
As did
Here's some revision feedback from the factory. Can you provide another color for things like this? So I had a whole different deck I was going to build yesterday for this, and I had all this work that came in, and I thought I could put off either, right? But I figured if I had made a whole deck that was just about the monster shop or whatever, it's still the same process, no matter what your life is. So I thought I can still go through the school one, talk about specifics, because really, if any of you, like, I could sit with you for an hour and we could just walk through and I can answer every question that's specific to you. Like some people might have, you know, health reasons that they can't do certain things, or they do have family or whatever. But yeah, Trish, I get that. And sometimes that's where, if you can leave a, like I kind of call it a black hole hour, like either in the morning or at night, that I never book. Like it's almost emergency time, because how many times, like, yeah, we'd love to go to bed at 10, but we're up till 2. It just happens. Freelancing is a really big, you know, that's a big issue. And it's also, freelancing is juggling clients so that they all feel like they're number one, which is crazy. I rely a lot on my happiness of holidays. So like when Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween, I'm super psyched, but now I'm a toy designer for a company that does things 8 months in advance. So on Valentine's Day, I'm doing Halloween. And then like, while I was really wanting to do Halloween, I'm doing Easter coloring books. Like it throws off everything about me that I'm not able to sync up with what means the most to me. Now, also, I think I lived like this until 2018, where I was a stress martyr. Like I'd be like, oh my God, you guys, when I went to the circus and I was getting my degree at the circus, I was also studying for my architecture exams and I passed and I'm a registered architect. But then when I started teaching right after, I decided to go to SCAD for my MFA in illustration. So I was getting my MFA, but I was teaching 7 classes at the circus and everyone's like, you're making me sick just hearing about it. But I was like, look at me, look how stressed out I am, you guys. Look at all this stuff I'm doing.
I remember those days.
Yeah. Well, 2018, I went, I think I might die. And I met with a life coach and I said, every night I go to bed going, I think I might have a heart attack. She said, well, if the universe is nudging you, you need to listen. And for you guys at agencies, I'll tell you, I was looking to leave the school to move north. So I thought, all right, I'm going to look at teaching at higher education. I looked at Boston, at RISD, at all that stuff. I've been teaching for 12 years, got a great reputation. I did not have international publications. I did not have research funds and grants. It wasn't about my teaching. It was about what college wants to say our professors have. I couldn't even get my foot in the door. Then agency, I'm like, well, I'll go to an agency. I could easily step in as senior designer or creative director, whatever. I've been doing this forever. Couldn't get my foot in the door because I didn't have Fortune 500 clients and they considered 10 years of teaching not anything, even though the kids I'm teaching are putting out 80% of the Super Bowl ads. Come on, man. So that's when I thought, I went to the life coach. I said, everything I think I'm supposed to be doing, I'm getting like shoved. Like, I feel like I'm getting curb stomped by the universe. And she said, if you're getting these nudges, listen to them. Otherwise, it'll end up a heart attack and you'll have to start from scratch. So I went, okay, I got one more interview. If I don't get it, I'm going to quit the circus and I'm just going to try freelance full time. And I didn't get the job and I quit the circus the next weekend. Of course, 2 quarters later, I got sucked right back in to teaching. But now I can work from anywhere, which allowed me to be in New Hampshire for 5 weeks, which was amazing, and be with my mom. But I also teach swimming. So I teach about 20 lessons a weekend now, which is exhausting as well. But if my time isn't filled up, I will do nothing. Like I could do 50 things in a day, but if you said, oh, Colleen, by the way, you have a dentist appointment today at 2:30, I'd go, well, that day's shot. Great. And then I wake up in the morning and go, well, I can't do anything. I got the dentist at 2:30. If I even start that, it's pointless. And then when I get back from the dentist, the day is gone. Like, so I can't have little things. I have to be booked. But again, that's me. And I just have that level of, I have kind of, perpetual cocaine energy. Although I've never had cocaine, I imagine that how I am a lot of times is how I am if I were to do that, but I don't need it. So yeah, I don't even know if we were talking about any questions or whatever. What's bogus? Nick, what's bogus?
That was after when you said that they didn't consider your teaching experience because I like, that's just,
they said it was a black hole. It was as if I wasn't working at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my specialty is concept and strategy. And, I feel like a lot of schools are going to teach you, the software, the basics and everything. But if you have someone, we had from our school, there was an agency that only hired their art directors from our school, but they only hired our designers as art directors because their concepting and their strategy was so good. So, it hurts not to be doing that. I had another plan, which was to do, let's say, and if any of you guys think this is a great idea, find me. It's personal creative consulting, right? So you have someone who is midlife crisis and they want to revamp their portfolio, or you want someone to come in and kind of talk to your designers and just like a refresher on their skills, layout, typography, color theory, packaging, model design, any of that kind of stuff. The person would send me their portfolio and I basically have a chart, and I would come back and I'd say, look, your layout skills are fantastic. Your type could use some work. Some of your layouts seem to be repetitive. You're using all caps sans serif tilted 15 degrees on every ad, and you have type and here's your image and whatever. Here's a 3-month thing. We'll meet every week. I'll give you assignments every week and we'll build new projects for your portfolio. Yes, they're just spec, obviously, but I can take people who are already in the field to the next level. That's what I would like to do. Private, I'd probably only have like 3 clients at a time, or I would come into agencies and work with them. So that's another thing. I have a lot of things that basically could be full-time jobs. And I talked to my friend, they're like, that's it. You'd be amazing at that. Do that. Go get your life coach certification. Doesn't matter from where, just so you can put it at the end of your title or whatever. And she goes, I have 20 agencies right now. I could get you in the door lecturing them on time management, strategy, and any design stuff, and working with them almost like a little in-house schooling. And I went, that's great. And I got off the call and I researched life coaches. And then I went, oh, right. That's a job. That's a whole job. What about my monster shop? What about the real monster shop? End game for the monster shop. You're going to hear about it in 15 years and go, damn, she did it. Miniature golf course, all animatronic monsters and robots. That's like cosmic bowling at night, but it's like, there's maybe 2 of these courses around that are at that level, but that's going to be in the back of the monster shop. So it's monster shop online, real monster shop, golf. And now she's about to go. You have 1 minute left, right? I saw you weren't looking at the clock. Okay. But anyway, we've got emails and I'm just going to connect with everyone. Send the handout that I give my students that breaks down exactly what I said to do, all the tips. Don't go under 30 minutes. Don't go over 4 hours. If you have to go to the art store, that's probably an hour. Don't leave out food or, I got to the point where I was writing like shower 8:15 to 8:45. I like checking boxes that I've done things every single day. So I've moved from the Post-it wall to this, where I check stuff off. But when things get really crazy, I will, literally, I literally have little boxes that I check off and I put the times for everything I do. But when things get really hectic, like when I'm going to plan out the monster shop, I have one wall in my, I didn't do this. It came like this in my apartment. That's a big mirror. The whole wall's a mirror. It's so perfect for Post-its. So I'll just do the whole wall in Post-its. And it really does make your space look twice as big, just for the record, even though it was built in 1964, they knew what they were doing. Okay. Any other questions? It is exactly 3 o'clock. Did that help anyone out? A lot of times I do. Oh, thank you. A lot of times I just black out and hope at the end it worked. So I don't use online planner because I feel like it needs to be pen to paper and I always need it with me. The other thing online, you're kind of going, when you get to like looking at the bigger picture, it gets smaller online, right? Or mobile. This is fat. Yeah, I have it with me everywhere I go. And I go, oh, wait, February? Right, February 1st at 11 o'clock. Okay, and I can do this really quickly versus an online calendar. It just doesn't work for me. Someone else might have, if someone else uses an online planner that they could suggest, give it a try. But again, this one is by Paragraph, Paragraph, an architect and designer's diary. And some art stores carry them. Excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead. I guess I'm going to let you want to wrap it up?
Sure. And
I'm sweating. Oh, let me end with this. When I get really hyper, I don't know if you guys have seen these. It's called a Komosu. And this is the Komosu shift. And so if you know the breathing of, now I can't even remember the number. Is it 4 in, hold for 7, exhale for 8? I think if you do that 5 times, it's supposed to take your blood pressure down. But anyway, and I know it looks like I'm vaping or there's weed in here, which would be cool too. But if you take your deep breath and you hold it, this limits how fast you can exhale. So if you take a deep breath and hold it, and then you go, doesn't make a lot of noise, and you exhale for 8, and you do it 5 times in no matter any situation during the day, everything slows down. And they have different ones now. I think they have a bracelet maybe, but it's Komosu, Komosu. And I think in Japanese it says be calm or something on it. But I love it. I wear it all the time. It's like a cool piece of jewelry too. Very gender neutral. Okay, I'm sweating. Go ahead. I'm done. I'll mute myself. You go.
Thank you, Colleen. And everyone, I'm just sharing a link here. It's a link to our other events that are happening during the week. It's day 2 of Creative Week. We have still 3 days left, so check them out. The next one is at 5. It's how to revamp your portfolio. If someone's interested, please join. And
thank you guys for making it through the whole thing. And I look forward to connecting with all of you via email. Can you send me the list of all the emails?
sure.
Send that through Gmail or something like that. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.